Dzień dobry, jestem un Maskart i witam w Drawing Journal. Well, that's pretty much all the Polish that I know. I didn't really have anything to talk about in this video, so I am going to continue what I was working on last week, and then I'm going to share some of the kind of odd things. Well, maybe they're just odd to me because I'm from the US, but some of the odd things that I've come across since living in Poland. However, before I get into that, I wanted to share a few things. So last week I showed you some of the chibis that my fiance and I did. We did a couple new ones. This one I showed you, this one I didn't. This is a new one that she did. This one I showed you, this one you saw, this one. This is a new one that I did. Venonat hoodie that I did. It was just, I don't know, it was just random. And then this is another one that my fiance did. I really like what she did with the hairs and stuff. I just thought it was cool. Anyways, since I'm drawing a chibi, that I just wanted to share those, I guess. And yes, so last week, the first episode of Chibi This went live, and this is the result of that here, a chibi of myself. And yes, I have the video for this week already uploaded. Actually, I was extremely productive last Friday. I have all of the videos Tuesday to Friday already uploaded and scheduled out. So I'm like ahead of the game right now, which is good because at the end of the week, I'm leaving for a few days. And yes, the other thing that I wanted to share with you. So my fiance yesterday asked me to teach her how to use colored pencils. And this is the result of her first time working with colored pencils. And I chose a pair. And so she did this one here, and I did this one here. And you can see they're quite similar. But yes, I posted these pictures on Facebook, and I asked my friends and family to guess which one she had done. And most of the people guessed correctly that she had done this one and that I had done this one. But under my explicit instruction, and after I established the color palette for her and everything, this is her first colored pencil piece, and it came out amazing. She hates it, of course. She's just as much of an artist as I am, in the sense that she immediately hates everything she creates the moment she creates it. But I think that she did a phenomenal job. I don't think that I could have done such a good job the first time I used color pencils. And actually, on my channel, you can see the first time I ever used color pencils, but that was a long time ago. You'll have to search quite far back to find that video. Anyway, so I'm going to get into working on the chibi that I did. So I was sketching it last week, and I decided just to do the initial inking because it can be really boring to watch, and I wanted to just finish it up real quick. So like I mentioned last week, I'm doing like a ninja, and I just decided to make it like the angriest looking ninja in the world for no reason at all. And it really has nothing to do with this video. So with that introduction finally complete after like half the video, let's go ahead and I'll share some of the interesting things that I've come across in Poland, and I have them listed here. So the first thing that I kind of noticed after being here is that there's a lot of old people, and the difference here is that there's a lot of old people that are out and about, and that might seem odd to a few of you, but in America, that's not the case. Like, you see old people, but you don't see the oldest people that I see here. Like, they generally seem like the age that in America they're all in like homes and they're all like hidden and all bunched together and being long term cared for. But here it's not like that. They're out shopping and moving about. And it seems like they're generally healthier than the old people in America. And that probably has a lot to do with the food that people eat in America compared to the food that people eat here. And I would say that generally the food that people eat here is significantly healthier than what people eat in America. I mean, the only fast food restaurant that I see here is Subway and McDonald's. And obviously, like, McDonald's is like the cancer of all food. But it's scarce. And though it's popular, I see, a lot of people eating it. I see a lot of tourists in there, mostly, not necessarily Poles. Yes, so that's one of the first things that I noticed is that there's old people everywhere, just something that stuck out to me, and I thought I'd mention it. The next thing, so the next thing is stores that I see, and it's kind of it's like 4 stores that just are all over the place. And the first one is hair salons. There is a hair salon pretty much on every street that you can walk on in Katowice or anywhere, any city here in Poland. And you would think they'd run out of people to do hair for if they opened up a new one, but it doesn't seem to be an issue. There's hair salons everywhere. I can walk out of my flat and probably have a choice between 4 or 5 different hair salons within a 5-minute walking radius. The next thing are banks. There's banks everywhere, and not much to say about banks, but they're everywhere. The next thing are Apteka, which is a pharmacy. I don't know, it kind of threw me off a little bit as far as buying like over-the-counter drugs and things like that. Like, if you go to pretty much any grocery store in America, you can get Benadryl and aspirin and all those kind of medicines that you give your kids and stuff, the over the counter kind of things that any person can walk in a store and buy. But here, I've only really seen like ibuprofen and aspirin like at the checkout counters in the stores and whatnot. But other than that, you buy everything at the pharmacy by a pharmacist. Well, I don't know if they're technically a pharmacist, but they run the counters or whatever. And and it seemed odd because they're everywhere. Like, you'll see a bank, an Apteka, and the next store that I'm going to talk about, which is a Żabka, and a salon, like right next to each other. And then across the street, you'll see the same string of stores. And the other store that I mentioned, the Żabka, is a convenience store, and it's like Żabka's Frog. And you can walk out of one, look down the road, and see the next one. They're on every corner of every block in the city, and they're all the same. The Żabka is the name of the store, and it has this little sign with a green frog on it. Sometimes a blue frog, actually. I've seen a blue frog one too. But yeah, those are the stores that you see all the time. And it's just interesting because all the stores are the same exact name, and stuff. And so it's just weird to see the same thing over and over again. You don't necessarily get that in the States. You see different kinds of convenience stores. You have like, I don't know, a bunch of different names for them. But they're all the same here. And it's just interesting. Let's see, the next thing. The next thing is bread. So since living here, I buy all of my bread fresh. It's made fresh every day. And it's not because I'm like picky, although I am picky. I can't pretend that I'm not. It's that I've only seen like the tiniest section of the store that sells like processed bread that's in a bag that you would normally see at the bread aisle in a grocery store in America. But here, all of the bread is made daily fresh. And it's nice because it's very tasty, but it was just something very odd. And bread stores, Piotnia, I think it's called. Like I said, my Polish isn't very good, and they're everywhere. There's one. I could walk right out my door, and there's one right across the street, and I could get whatever kind of bread. They have tons of different kinds of breads baked with all kinds of good stuff. But yeah, those are the stores and the bread. Let's see, the next thing. If you want to make it through a day in Poland and pretty much be able to convince anybody that you're from here, as long as you somewhat look like you're from here. I mean, Poles generally look similar to each other, in my opinion. But there's still plenty of variety in the people here that you don't have to look a certain way to blend in well. But if you want to be able to convince people that you're just from here and they won't look at you weird, learn 4 words. Well, first one's kind of a phrase, but the first one is hello, which is dzień dobry, and it's like the formal hello. Learn that. Learn how to roll your R a little bit. The next thing is yes and no, tak and nie. And then the last one is do widzenia. You learn those 4 things, and you can pretty much get through any day, and people wouldn't guess that you're not Polish. And here's how I do it. If I have to go to the store for something, and I'm not with my fiance, who obviously speaks both English and Polish, because she's very Polish. But you go in a store, and when somebody working at the store sees you, they will say dzień dobry. Or when you go to the checkout counter to pay for things, they'll say it to you, dzień dobry, and you just say it back to them. And if you can roll your R a little bit, then you'll sound perfectly Polish. But yes, so that's the first thing. And I would say 8 out of 10 times, they will ask you, if you don't have the exact change, say like you're buying something and it's only like, I don't know, 1 złota and 47 grosz, they'll ask you if you have like the exact change or something like that, in which case, even if you are not sure what they're asking you, you can just say nie. You can just say nie. The other 2 out of 10 times, the other 20%, they will ask you if you want a bag, in which case you have to pay for any bag here pretty much. In which case you can say nie or tak. But either way, it doesn't really matter. You just say those 2 things. Even if you don't know, what they're saying. Just guess and choose one yes or no, and you'll be fine. And then when you leave the store, all you say to the clerk, do widzenia, and you're good. And you have successfully managed to go into a store, buy things, and walk out of that store and convince the person that you're not a foreigner. Yep, that's how it works. And then, so that's how I get through my days anyway. I need to practice really bad. I need to practice my Polish. I should be speaking fluent Polish right now, but I can assure you that I am not even remotely close. I'm about as close as I am to flying to the moon. Anyways, so let's see, what's the next thing? The other thing that I noticed is the sidewalks. The sidewalks are all brick. They're all like laid brick, which is terrible if you are a skateboarder or a skater of any kind. That is not the kind of sidewalk you want to be trying to ride on. But it definitely has an aesthetic appeal as far as the way that it looks. It looks really nice. And just an interesting thing. Some roads actually are also brick, though a lot of those are changing. You see some construction and some of the roads being taken up and replaced with asphalt. But the sidewalks are hand-laid brick. And it's kind of like a zigzaggy design. But on the sidewalks, they have a bike path, and then they have a walking path on the sidewalks. And the bike path are red brick, and the walking path is like a white, gray brick, tan color, whatever, standard brick color, I guess. So a lot of dedication goes into making the sidewalks. The next thing is the cemeteries, which seems kind of morbid to bring up, but it's something that I just noticed like right away. The cemeteries are exceptionally decorated with the people that, like, not people that work at the cemetery, but the people that have people that died and are in the cemetery. There's flowers and candle things, lanterns on pretty much 98% of every single grave. And there was recently a holiday this last week where everybody was out and they were cleaning the graves and putting candles. Myself included went with my fiance and her mom to do the same thing. And everybody was out putting candles and lighting them and on the graves and everything like that. And it's a cultural thing, obviously. But cemeteries in the United States, you almost never see flowers in the cemetery unless somebody just recently died and they had a funeral. But other than that, you have the people that work for the city or whatever, and they clean the cemetery, they pick up leaves or something like that. But people go in there and regularly and clean their family members' graves and pay respect to the dead and stuff like that. And it was just an interesting experience, to say the least. And it was just something that I noticed. Let's see, the last thing. The last thing is old ladies with really bright red dyed hair. I don't know where the fashion came from, but like old ladies, at least over the age of 60, dye their hair like bright orangey red, and I don't know why. It seems so common that My fiance didn't even notice it. She didn't even. I asked her. I was like, "Why? What's with the bright red hair? Like, why do old ladies dye their hair super bright orange red?" And she hadn't even noticed. Yeah. Anyways, I'm finished with the inking part of this. I'll color it next week. Actually, I'm not really going to color it. I'm going to just shade it. But anyways, I know this video was probably weird. It was weird for me too. But I'll see you guys next week, and take care. Do widzenia.